Hello, welcome back to L-Space, or welcome to L-Space if you're new. My name is Tristan, and it is that time of month once again where we bite off far more than we can chew when it comes to selecting which books we're going to read. I'm going to read for the month of October. It is obviously spooky season, so we want to have some spooky fun. However, I am a little bit of a weenie when it comes to scary things. So I have to be a little careful with what I read because I get spooked quite easily, and I'm somebody who remains spooked for many months after that happens. So I have to be very careful with what I read and watch. But I read Cursed Bunny and felt like that was okay. Like I did okay with Cursed Bunny. So I'm assuming that I can be okay maybe reading horror as opposed to watching horror. Okay, so I have too many books to read in October, given how my September reading plans went. I will talk about that at some point. Also, at the end of this video, I have a museum vlog because I went to the Isabella Stewart Gardner during September for the Framed in September readathon, which the whole idea was to read about art, consume art, and then potentially, if you're inclined to do so, create art. So that's going to be at the end of this video. Stick around for that if you'd like. Otherwise, let me get into the books real quick. I try to read a book in French every month to keep up with my language, and the one that I chose is going to be Paris-Briancon by Philippe Besson. Now, for those of you who have been around for a little while, know that Philippe Besson is becoming one of my favorite authors, and I want to basically read him down to zero. So this is a huis clos. This is a locked room, closed room, single room, etc. Narrative. Takes place on a train going from Paris to Briançon, which is another city in Paris, of course. It's a night train, which is interesting. And at the end of the book, we find out, by the end of the night, we find out that somebody has died. Potentially multiple people. Now, is it a murder mystery? Not really, from what I've heard. It sounds like this is more of a character study than it is like an Agatha Christie style murder mystery. Character studies are what Philippe Besson does best, and I think that is what this is going to be. Nonetheless, murder is a perfect thing to read in October, I think. So this is going to be this is my French book. It's also quite short, so I think this is not terribly ambitious. For those of you who've been around for a little while as well, know that I am a part of the Eric Cervini's Very Gay Book Club, and so the book club pick for this month is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. And this is the one that I've heard that is probably the most scary out of all the ones that I've chosen. Don't know how I'll fare. I know that Chuck Tingle is very funny, and I've very much wanted to read stuff by Chuck Tingle, but I've not done so yet, so I'm really happy that this fell into my lap. So it's also signed by him, which is cute. So I'm excited for that. This is basically playing off the trope of the fact that gays in horror movies always die. That's just, the thing. And also, like, black people always die in movies because, we want to preserve the heteronormative family. So we can't have the gays and the blacks roaming around in the movies, can we? So this is playing on that sort of trope that it's quite common in horror movies for basically non-white cisgender heterosexual people to be killed off by the end, and this is making fun of that. So I'm excited about that. Next is not a spooky per se, but definitely a good fantasy book, and that is going to be Night Watch by Terry Pratchett. This is like number 7 in the City Watch series. That might be correct, might not be. It actually, I think, is number 6. Number 6 in the City Watch. It's in there. The Fifth Elephant is the 5th one, and I'm pretty sure this comes after the Fifth Elephant. Anyway, this I'm going into almost entirely blind. Unfortunately, some parts of it have been spoiled for me, which I'm not super thrilled about, but I am very excited to read this one. I've read a Terry Pratchett book almost every October since I started getting into Terry Pratchett, so I am very excited to continue that tradition because he's my favorite author ever, so I'm excited to read a book of his that I have not read yet. More spookies, I have Never Whistle at Night, which is an anthology of Indigenous dark fiction. Now, I have a friend who does not do horror very well. She has read this, and she says that they are spooky, but they're not overly horrific, and they are things that you can be okay reading. I've heard nothing but good things about this one. I know that there are notable authors like Tommy Orange who've contributed to this collection. I haven't read much Indigenous... I have not read much Indigenous fiction coming from the Americas, and so I want to correct that and read more. And this is, a great opportunity to read this particular collection. I think this is pretty high on my list of priorities to do, so I will be ideally getting to this one this month. Next is, of course, the book of the season. It's Intermezzo. I went to the library today, and there it was. Turns out I picked it up off the shelves about 2 hours after they had put it on the shelves, period. Like, for the first time that the library got it. So, this is part of my library's Lucky Day collection, which means that it's a 14-day loan. There's no holds and no renewals, so I have to read this in the next 14 days. I'm not going to really talk about this one. I think everybody really knows what Intermezzo by Sally Rooney is about, but at this point, if you don't, there are a plethora of videos and reviews and all of that about this. This really is the book of the season, and so I'm very excited to get it, and I'm so happy that I got my hands on it, especially because it was free. So, happy about that. Excited to get into that, very much so. Next on my high priority ones is going to be Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. I want to read the entire Booker long list. Am I aware that the Booker short list has been announced already? Yes, very aware. Thank you for reminding me. Is this on the short list? Regrettably, no. Nonetheless, I want to read it because I've heard nothing but good things about this one. Tommy Orange as an author, of course, is great. Not that I would know because I've never read anything by him, but I'm fixing that and I'm going to read this. So that's coming on my list for this month. Now, this next book, and this last book just keeps getting pushed back because either I don't have enough time and it's just like it keeps falling through the cracks for me and it just is really irking me. So it's just going to be on my monthly TBR until I read it, and that's going to be The Parisian by Isabella Hammad. I've talked about this enough times. Just like, yeah. If I get to it this month, that would be great. It's sort of a carryover from last month. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm sorry. But if it gets read this month, that would be great. Maybe this will be like the first one that I read. Her writing is very engaging, and it's something that definitely goes by quickly, despite having quite engaging and heavy themes, or just like very intellectual and heady things to talk about and discuss. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. I have to read Intermezzo like now, so this may come immediately after. We'll see. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's the last book on this TBR video. And now, I'm just going to thank you for watching and say enjoy the vlog because I really enjoyed going to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. It's my favorite museum in Boston and maybe my favorite museum ever. So yeah, enjoy some footage of that. But I will see you again very soon with another video. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.